Welcome everyone back to The Learning Journey, the podcast hosted by myself, Elias, for the Institute for Professional Excellence. Today we have our wonderful guest, Viktoria Soltesz.
That's right.
Who's joining us for the third episode. So thank you so much for joining, Viktoria.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, and I was so excited to come. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Great. So Viktoria, to kick things off, if you could describe yourself in a few words, who would you say you are?
It's a good question. I would say I'm a very curious person, and my curiosity led me to payments. Actually, I was working as a tax accountant, tax consultant 20 years ago, a long time ago in Cyprus, and that's how I started my career. Originally, I'm an economist. That's my degree, and accountant. And when I came to Cyprus just joined the EU, and there was a lot of opportunities for tax advisors, because then Cyprus offered really good tax schemes for international businesses. So it was a lot of work for someone like me who is accountant and learned taxation locally. And then I was working as an auditor. And my clients came to me and they told me that, yes, Viktoria, I understand that the tax disappears with the tax structures and optimizing the tax. It's a good thing, but what are we going to do with banks and payment providers? And how do I find a bank who is willing to work with me? And they block my account and they are giving me headache. And that's what I was really curious to find out, that really what's happening in the background. And that led me to payments, where I'm active now, and I've got PSP Angels, a consultancy, which is helping to demystify all of these big questions around banking and payments. So that's basically, in short, my journey.
Okay, very nice. And it seems like you've done a lot since you came to Cyprus as well. So I want to go back a little bit and tell us a bit how it all started from your educational perspective. So you finished high school and then you went to study.
Yes, so I wanted to be a film director, but my mom, who's a lawyer, told me that no, you need to have like a proper job. Back in the day, I'm from Hungary. It was a different approach. So I listened to her, and that's why I went to university, which was teaching me to be an economist. So my first degree, it was because Hungary was just joining the EU, so our education system was slightly different than now. You've got the traditional bachelor and the master's. So I've got something like a bachelor in accounting and something like a master's in economics, and that's what I combined. But I was always interested in marketing. I was doing some sales during the university, so it was interesting to see every areas of the business. But basically, this economic course was something like the Masters of Business Administration, the MBA, because we were learning a bit of HR, a bit of legal, a bit of marketing. So it was good having the full understanding of how the business works. And it really helped me later when I'm assessing that how banks are evaluating businesses, because it's just everything is affecting everything. You can't just talk about marketing and that's it, or talk about payments and that's it. Everything has a nice symbiosis in an operation. So it's good to really understand every aspect of the business, even though that you are not an expert on it, but just to really understand the basics, how it works, because then you can put things in a much better perspective.
Yeah, I really like how you put that, and I agree with you in the sense of, you can have, you can be taught, HR, marketing, or finance, or whatever, but if you aren't able to apply them together and put them all together, then it's never going to be a success. I mean, you can't have an individual component of your team doing something with them not being at least aware of what's happening somewhere else. So the fact that you put that as well, the way you put it in symbiosis, I like it. So I want to move on a little bit and go from, you started your educational background, you went to university, great. And then how did you start your career? I mean, what was your first job after university?
Yeah, so I actually went to England first. I was working in Cyprus only for a season, working in a hotel as an animation staff. So I wouldn't really consider this as a professional, experience. But that was when I was 22, I think. So it was a long time ago. And then I went to England, and there I managed to start working for a big company. It's called Sage, which was back at the day the leading software company, providing softwares for small and medium and even big companies. But I was in a small and medium sized enterprise department. And they were providing softwares for payroll purposes and accounting. So you needed to understand how the software works. And the company was absolutely amazing because they sent us to different trainings as well. And that's how I learned that, okay, what I learned in Hungary about accounting and businesses, this quasi MBA qualification, I could see that how does it really work in real life? And how does the English system is not that different than the Hungarian system. I mean, debit is debit, credit is credit. You need to do the submissions. There is still a payroll. You need to do different taxes and the VAT submission. So it was really interesting to see from that perspective that what you learn in one country can be applicable to another country, even though that back at the day there was no harmonization of the EU, they just started. But you could see that accounting is a language, and if you speak that language, then you understand a company in the UK, a company in Hungary, a company somewhere in Latin America, because the basics are there. So it was a really nice learning curve to put things in perspective that so this is how the international financial system works, this is how the international submissions work, and these are the international companies. So yeah, it was a really, really good experience.
Okay, great to hear that. And also I know that after going to England and doing that and getting this exposure, you probably developed a lot of curiosity to understand a little bit more about this. And how would you say you developed your passion over the years to help other businesses optimize their payments and understand banking? Because, as I understand, that's what you're doing mostly today. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes. So I realized that 20 years ago, when we were talking about banks, it was completely different. I'm sure that you remember those good old days when we just walked into a bank. Hey, I know you, so I'm going there with the blurry passport copy, photocopy. You could open an account and you send the utility bill later, and no one bat an eye. So those times obviously came to an end, but somehow business owners still have this kind of attitude even today. Now it's changing, that my money, my rules, the bank has nothing to do with how am I spending my money. It's my money, and yes, but no. So you as a business owner also have some kind of responsibility to keeping the financial system alive. I'm just telling you one example. Your best client comes to you with a bag of cash. Elias, bring me whatever you have, the best whatever you have, all of it. This is the this is the payment for that. Can you accept the cash? Can you actually give the service based on you don't really know where the cash is coming from? And no, you're not a financial institution. You are just a simple brick and mortar store or a merchant online. But even you have some kind of responsibility to make sure that whoever is paying you is coming from legit sources. You're not taking big bags of cash. So somehow, you need to understand why the banks are giving you these kind of challenges as well. And what I see is that a lot of business owners are seriously lacking of this. And for example, I'm an accountant. We were never trained on banking languages or different payment systems. We were never trained on what is open banking or wallet or Apple Pay. And these are the new things that you need to catch up if you're running a business today. And you really need to understand that who is holding your funds, how that fund is being handled, right? What is the financial license that bank has, and can you trust that bank instead of that bank? So this knowledge is not really summarized in one place. So it's not something that you can go and be a marketing specialist and then you know everything about marketing, or you go to, I don't know, you become a developer and then on certain programming language, but you understand every part of that. Banking and payment is still somewhere in between. A little bit of compliance, a little bit of product, and a little bit of technology with the integration, a little bit of economics to understand what's happening, a little bit of compliance. So there are so many moving parts and elements, and that's what I really see, that there is no summarized knowledge about that this is where I click and I know everything and I can train myself as a payment and banking specialist. And this is kind of what we are getting with the consultancy, obviously, and that's why I'm doing the courses, what I'm doing to educate people about making the informed decision that yes, this is what's the risk I'm taking, these are my backups, this is how the payment flows through my business, and I understand what I'm talking about. And I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, I think you said that very well, and I like how you put it, where it's the payments and banking is a bit wishy-washy. We don't know exactly what's happening. A lot of entrepreneurs and probably business owners, they don't really understand where the money is held, the payment flow, the user experience, and all that. I think that's really important. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about PSP Angels, of course. Obviously, you're the founder and CEO at PSP Angels, and I want to ask you. Obviously, over the years, you developed a more curiosity about the space and everything. I mean, what was the decision? When was that decision that you took? Hey, I'm going to start my own consultancy. I just need to start educating people and start helping businesses understand payments and banking.
Yes, when I was working as an accountant, tax advisor, auditor, I gained more and more clients on my own because I speak Hungarian. So I started to do, tax consulting and accounting work for local Hungarians who wanted to incorporate Cyprus companies. And then I shifted over that I had my private clients as well. And then I realized that when it comes to payments and banking, they have nowhere to go. And I realized that once you have one client, you have them all because it's the same question, same problems, same bank, same prices. And I was like, okay, that could be a good opportunity, first of all, to help these people with this knowledge. And second of all, obviously build a consultancy on that, because the problem is that even today, let's say the bank freezes your account. Where are you going to go? You call your accountant, you call your lawyer. And do they know the answer? Most probably not. As I said, I'm an accountant. We were never trained on certain things. Or, your lawyer, they know even less about that. So certain questions need to be addressed to the certain professionals. And what I noticed that we are seriously lacking of payment and banking professionals who can give you usable tips and hints and usable resolutions for certain problems. So when you're going to, for example, your lawyer, the lawyer is going to say that everything is legal. That's fine, and that's where their education ends. And if they have seen the problem, they might advise you that yes, it might be legal, but banks might not like it. So yes, maybe you can set up an offshore entity, and yes, you can actually pay people with crypto, but how can it be executed in real life? How do you find the bank who is helping you to do those transactions? That's a whole different question. So that's when I realized that when we are talking about ideology and legality is one thing, but the execution is another. And I'm somewhere in between as a mediator to translate that, yes, what the bank means is, and that's what they want you to do, and this is how you can do that, and this is the risk. And I find it that somehow it's a very unique knowledge, because as we said, that there is no education around it, and the knowledge is very scattered all over, and then you need to talk to different people to get the different aspect of the same picture. And that's what I decided in the education as well, that we really need to talk about it. We need to put standards about banking and payments. We need to educate people about that this payment and banking is affecting every part of your business, and you need to make informed decisions about your payment flows.
Sounds like you've had a long learning journey from the moment you first stepped into university to your first job, and then obviously transitioning and going into payments and banking and starting your own consultancy. I wanted to ask, how have you leveraged your own skills? Let's say for someone out there, an aspiring professional who wants to have a career in payments and banking and maybe wants to start their own business in the field. How have you leveraged your own skills that you learned over the years to lead a successful consultancy like PSP Angels?
I think a lot of it's coming from my personality, because I'm curious. So I want to know what's happening. So what I do is also my passion, because even if I'm not working, I'm kind of working, and I think you need that as an entrepreneur to be at least interested in what you are doing. So in my free time, I find myself reading articles regarding banking and payment, not because I have to, but because it's really interesting for me that what's going on. And I think this is one of the biggest part. The other one is that I'm an accountant. I'm a numbers girl. I'm so anal about certain things that I want to know that, one is one and two is two. So that helped me to be very organized. I'm following up things to the dot to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. And that's also something that I can see that a lot of companies are lacking of planning or understanding or vision or where we are going. And that can really break, mainly startups. And I think the third one is really about financial planning as well, which I know that like 80% of the businesses, there was some kind of statistic, is failing because of the lack of planning and the cash flow problems. And me being an accountant, thankfully, I could figure that out, that okay, I can start budgeting, I can understand that okay, the money is coming in and these are the outgoings, that how I'm managing everything in between. But that also relates to, again, payments and banking. How do I trust my bank? How do I control that, how much money I have on different bank accounts? And I think these are the main points that you need to do when you're an entrepreneur, that you need to love what you're doing, you need to be curious about that, and you need to be consistent, following things up, organized, because I've seen some business orders with like opening up the screen and there are 13,000 unread emails, and then okay, you're in trouble. Maybe your best client is emailing you and you're just not replying to that. So you need to follow up, you need to be consistent, but you need to have your numbers right as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like especially what you mentioned about being curious, and it sounds like you kind of had this natural, let's say, gift of being curious even from a young age. But I do think it's something that you can develop over the years, curiosity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yourself letting us know about your own journey is very interesting. And I just wanted to transition a little bit to talk about teaching. So obviously, we're working together at the Institute for Professional Excellence with yourself, and I wanted to ask, what made you get into teaching and wanting to educate people on a much bigger scale than, let's say, through your consultancy?
Yes, basically, again, it's coming from the passion that I honestly believe that someone needs to pick this up and do the work, because right now I don't see any kind of course on payments and banking specifically. You can find courses on data security, but that's it, or card payments, and that's it, or certain aspects of payments and banking. But there is no overall course which is explaining everything as we do in our course. The history of banking, the history of compliance, going through everything as of today. Why do we have compliance today? What are the steps that the banks are making? I mean, we have a very short course right now about this, but at least it starts to put things in perspective for anyone to start to ask those questions that, okay, it makes sense. So do I have a backup if my bank fails? Do I do hedging, basic things? And you would be surprised how many companies are not even thinking about hedging. Or do I do my due diligence on the banks? Do I have all the documents that the bank wants? So of course, this is only the tip of the iceberg, what we have on the course, but at least there is something which people can stick to. And then if they are interested, then of course there's a consultancy, or we're going to launch new courses next year as well. So there's going to be more and more content out there. And it's not just me. I mean, obviously I'm part of the bigger picture when people realize that payment and banking is a separate topic that we need to talk about. And I'm just happy that I can see that people started to actually talk about that. And they do have payment and banking strategy, and they talk about payment orchestration, or, the technological platforms as well. So at least they started to think about, other than, no, payment provider is just a supplier, and then this is the fee, this is what we have to deal with. So this is a good trend that I can see that it can really develop further in the future.
Yeah, what I like also about your course that we did together is it's it's not too in depth. It's but gives a good perspective of all the moving pieces kind of that take place. So someone who is getting to the space, or even someone who is working in the space but doesn't have a full clear on picture of what it looks like, I think will benefit from the course. What I wanted to say as well is about the other things that you touched upon about people just think, okay, I pay with a credit card or debit card or whatever, Apple Pay, all this kind of stuff. But I mean, what about alternative payment methods? I mean, a lot of people don't even know there's other ways to pay. Like in other countries, they pay with cash only, or like instant bank transfers all the time. Whereas here, like in more westernized society, we're used to having a card and going and paying with our even our phones with Apple Pay and Google Pay. So I think it gives a lot of perspective on that as well. And I know, I mean, even from my own experience with people that I know my age and even older, and my parents as well, they don't even know, I mean, how, a lot of things. They're like, how can I add my card to my wallet and all these things to pay with my phone? They didn't know that was a thing. And we show them this and they believe that, wow, technology is changing and all these things. And I think these are the right steps to show and to take slowly to help change people to understand a little bit more about what's happening with payments, because it's such a big part of our lives. I mean, we need value, and we need some money to be able to exchange for things that we buy or sell or whatever. So I think that's very interesting. Now, I want to ask you a little bit more about the course's perspective. So obviously, we had our first course together, which is good. It came out. We're really happy about that. What about the future? I mean, is there something else that's particular that you want to share with the audience, with courses coming next year?
Well, this overall course is just the tip of the iceberg, because we mentioned a little bit that, but there are so many other aspects that we need to discuss. Because history of payment is just one thing. Then we need to talk about accounting, how to read a financial statement, how to do financial projections, then how to use different alternative payment methods. Then we need to talk about compliance to understand how banks think. And then overall, the whole point of this whole exercise is that someone will be able to develop their own payment and banking strategy. What are the moving elements? What about the timelines? Because I can find you the best bank, but if they send you the money and only hits you in a week's time, what is the damage, right? Or really see that what are the hidden costs? Because it's one thing that you pay upfront, but what is the hidden cost in foreign exchange, for example, from your provider? Or maybe they charge you, I don't know, a lot of money for settlement. So those are all the aspects that we can talk more: technology, data security, customer experience. So the list is endless. So we just need to see that what are the areas that obviously the learners need to know more about, and then we're going to elaborate a bit more on that. But I think whatever areas that we are touching is going to be really beneficial for everyone, because every aspect has its own importance in its own way, and it's very hard to prioritize that, where to start, because there are so many things. Plus, everything is changing, because technology is changing, your company is changing, your volume is changing, the financial licensings are changing. So the bank today might not be regulated in the same way as the bank tomorrow. So yeah, it's a very interesting space when I don't think that we're going to run out of subjects anytime soon.
Yeah, we look forward to it. I wanted to ask as well about, let's say there's a young or aspiring professional that wants to go into payments and banking. I mean, what would you say is like, maybe one or two key skills that these professionals or young professionals need to develop over their career to be successful like yourself?
You need to have a very strong financial understanding. You don't have to be qualified as an accountant, but at least to be able to understand what areas are going to be charged and how. So that's definitely a must. The second one is to have a curiosity and an open mind towards the subject, because as I said, there is a lot of information out there, but everything is scattered all around the internet. So it's your job to figure out that what's important information, what is coming as, for example, a sales pitch, what is independent sources. So that could be also a challenge. And maybe the third one is that you really need to think outside of the box. So there is a lot of creative work here, and you need to find a way out, because there is always a solution. And if you're going to a payment expert with the same problem, two different payment experts are going to give you two different kind of solution. What's your priority? How to prioritize different things? What are you willing to sacrifice? Is it the price? Is it the technology? Is it the customer experience? As we said, that there are so many moving parts of that, and you need to really see payments and banking as a holistic approach, which is affecting every part of the organization. So you need to have a bit of a product knowledge, have a bit of marketing knowledge, have a bit of financial knowledge, and think creative of how to use all of those information to put together in a best strategy. So it is challenging, it is complex, the learning never ends, but I think it's super exciting and super interesting if you find the beauty in these topics to really understand what's going on.
That's great. I like your approach a lot. You seem like you're very hungry to learn, keep learning, keep growing, and that's, we're all on our learning journey, and this is why we're here as well.
Exactly.
What about looking back now? Okay, let's say when you were, you just graduated high school or even university, you got your first job. Was this career, let's say, or this path something that you dreamed of or thought that was possible, or is it something that you learned over the years? Hey, I'm learning more. I can do more. How was that in your mind back then?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no one wants to be a payment specialist. And back in the day when I was, graduating, there was no such a job. So I think everybody's like gets into it by accident. I think this is the right way to say it, because no one wants to work in payments, I think. But I think you need to be flexible, and you need to see that what are your skills, what are you interested at, what are you good at, and when you see these diagrams where they meet, that's your calling, and that's your main thing. And what I saw in teaching, that I was also lecturing in the University of West London for 3 years, and even though that I was lecturing accounting courses, that was a good experience to see that how it is to pass your knowledge, mixing with real life examples to the students, and how to explain a concept which could be completely alien for them at the first instinct. So it was a nice learning journey, and I realized that I think teaching is something good because you are forced to double check what you are saying, so it enhances your skills as well. But it's also a good way to teach the new generation and attract attention to all of those things that maybe it's only you who knows these things, or you see from a specific perspective. So it's a very giving kind of profession to teach, because you really see the feedback, you are growing, you can see that through your teaching you're creating value as well. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Another question I have for you is, I mean, obviously you've done so much with PSP Angels, you're doing a lot of different things at the same time. I mean, a question that I would say comes to mind is, how do you manage your time? Because in today's day and age, everyone is so busy, they have no time. Yet, you're here, and a lot of other instructors from the institute are doing so many different things, running their own businesses like yourself. You're doing courses, all these things. I mean, can you give us some tips of how you're approaching it, and maybe how you manage your own time?
I think you have time for what you want to have time for, right? And it's a constant battle of what you are willing to give up, right? It's a prioritization kind of balancing act. But everybody has the same amount of time in their life. It's just what you choose to do with it that's different. So some people choose to, I don't know, check Instagram, which is nothing wrong with that, but maybe that takes 2 or 3 hours away from your time. Or you're choosing to, I don't know, sit here at 7 o'clock at night and enhancing your own business. So it's really just what you see as work, and what it comes to you organically, that I want to do it because, not because I have to, because I'm working, because I'm interested in this. And if you see things from this perspective, then everything becomes something that it doesn't really feel like work. I mean, obviously you're an entrepreneur as well, so you know exactly that it can really spiral that, and at one point you're just working 24 hours, but you don't really feel like it, because you build something, it's rewarding, it's worth it, and then you don't really feel like as a work anymore. So I think this.
Yeah. No, I like the way you put it, and also in today's day and age, I feel like having your own business or doing something for your own thing can be seen as it's kind of glorified. Like people don't really understand the sacrifice it takes, to do this and to do it successfully. A lot of people, I think, young people especially, viewing successful people nowadays and starting like a drop shipping account or whatever they're going to do online to make money. They believe like, okay, I'm going to start it and next year I'm going to be wealthy, I'm going to have all this money. But they don't understand that the way you're talking about it is something that's I've seen as a trend within the other instructors that I've talked to on the podcast, where they have this natural curiosity to just learn, and they're genuinely interested. It's not so much about the end goal as so much about them in their day-to-day, just learning and experiencing what they can grow and how they can provide more value to people around them and also grow themselves. So what would you say that people nowadays don't really understand how difficult it is to run our own business, or do you have another perspective on that?
Oh, yes or no, because I was thinking when I was starting that, I will be a billionaire in 2 years, so I was one of those hopeful person as well. And then you realize, okay, it's not that easy. Listen, there is no good or bad decision. Either if you're pursuing a career, working for a company, that could be very rewarding as well. Or you're an entrepreneur, that could be very rewarding as well. But it's up to the personal preferences. Even if you're not pursuing any career, you are a, let's say, stay-home mom, that could be an absolutely rewarding life as well. You just need to pick that what aligns with your interest, what are you willing to sacrifice for what you're prioritizing in life. Because once you really understand yourself and your own goals, then it's going to be much easier to go in any direction. So I think it's really about being self-aware, being understanding of your own skills. So for example, don't try to be, I don't know, a ballet dancer at the age of 50, because chances are you're not going to make it. But then be realistic, but see that what you really like to do, how does it align with your skills and interests, and then be very much self-aware of what you try to achieve out of that. And there's always going to be sacrifices. If you're an entrepreneur, I'm sure that you're sacrificing your free time by talking to me at 7 o'clock at night. And that's good, because this is how you choose this. But it has to be something that you want to do. Because if you are forcing yourself to work in a company and you don't feel like it, or to be an entrepreneur but you don't really feel like it, or be a stay-home parent and you don't really feel like it, that's when the problems start. But when you know what you want to get out of it, that's when you can pick the right life path, and there is no right or wrong. It's whatever is good for you.
And do you have any advice for people to look for that thing that they want to do? I mean, we have at the Institute, we have a lot of young professionals who are starting their career and they want to, learn skills, and they're hungry, but maybe they don't know exactly which direction to go. Do you have some advice for them, or how can they find what they want to do and how, to go?
Yeah, I think you need to pay attention to your own interests. Like when you are, let's say, in your free time, you're browsing the internet and you're going through the stories and the reels that you're watching. What are you really watching? Are you watching entrepreneurial videos, or hairdressing videos, or cake baking videos, or what is really the interest of you? Because what you're doing in your free time, together with what skills you have, and then you're really knowing all of these two aspects, then it's going to be much easier to pick your destiny and your calling. And if you like to, for example, explain things to your friends and family, maybe it's teaching. If you really like to work alone, maybe it's a freelance job. So you need to be really self-aware of what you would like to do. There was a good saying. Someone said that if money and fame was not an issue, what would you do? Well, that's exactly what you should do, because then you don't see it as a work, and then money is no longer an issue because you like to do it anyway. And if you're a professional in something what you're doing, money is gonna come on its own eventually.
Yeah, I like what you said about being self-aware. I think that's something really, really important, and I think it's a big part of someone's own learning journey. If they're not aware and aware of their actions or what their behaviors are doing on a day-to-day basis, whether it's taking them forward in life or closer to what they want to achieve and not, then it's really difficult to achieve any goal, because you don't know, you don't have that let's say, that guide to tell you, hey, what you did today at work, it was good, or the fact that you spent half an hour in the toilet at the office or whatever, and you're skipping work is, it's taking time away from you learning and growing. So being self-aware is really important. And I think it's a bit difficult in today's society. There's so many distractions everywhere you go. I mean, there's notifications on LinkedIn, on Instagram, your phone is blowing up nonstop. It's a bit difficult. I mean, how can you, like, how do you handle that where, you're so busy, you have so many things going on, you're always very prompt, respond very quickly, but how, you always need that time to disconnect and focus on your work. How do you do that?
Yeah, this is the challenge, because being self-aware, it is hard on its own, but then being consistent, and as long as you're consistent, you're going to get results. I didn't believe it, but this is how it works. So if you put time and effort into something, and you're doing over again and again and again, and every day just you're doing a little bit about it, it adds up on the long term. So that's what I see when people are going to the gym. You don't have to kill yourself every day, but consistently going, after a year, you will really see the results. It's the same with work. It's the same with basically everything that you do. And what I see is that it is very underappreciated, but it's very, very important, is how responsive you are and how trustworthy you are, regardless of what you're actually doing. So for example, when your client is emailing you, email them back within 24 hours. It doesn't cost a lot. Even if you say that, sorry, I don't have time to look at it, but I will get back to you as soon as possible. When you're promising something that you're doing by Friday, deliver on Thursday. Don't deliver on Monday, because then it's just a disappointment for absolute no reason. So if you're consistent with these parts, you really follow up things, it doesn't cost a lot, but it can make all the difference between you and competition or colleagues, rivalry, or anything that you really promise. You keep what you promise, and you deliver even just an attention, and that can make all the difference. So I think this is definitely the key.
Yeah, I like how you made an analogy there with the gym, where you may go, for the gym, you may go like for a month straight, but you may not see in the first 2-3 weeks, you may not see anything. But then all of a sudden, wow, you wake up and okay, the pants fit perfectly at the moment, So I think it's the same with work, and I think it's something maybe that people don't understand so much, that your brain is a muscle, and it's like the rest of your body. If you stress it, regularly and in a good amounts with work, with new knowledge, something that's challenging, something that's interesting, you can grow, and in a year from time, in a year's time, you can change your life a lot, especially for the younger professionals, or even professionals in their 30s and 40s who believe like, oh, I've learned all I can learn, I'm stuck in this career. No, you can pivot, you can make your brain work again and learn new skills. And I think that's something really important. And I think, and you said it perfectly as well, with just being curious. And I think we can see that from you as well. You're just always wanting to learn and grow. And I also like the fact that you said, keeping clients informed. You could just send them a quick message. Nothing, it doesn't cost so much of your time. Just letting them know, hey, I'll get back to you tomorrow, or just that acknowledgement. I think a lot of people are lacking that as well, that ability to show up and actually, be able to produce results. Yeah. So
basic work ethics, you would be surprised how far it takes you. Like the basic things that you dress up. You don't have to wear a suit, but just give the respect. If you promise something, deliver. Don't send an email with typos in it. If there is a meeting, you turn up. So those are all the very small things which doesn't cost anything to keep, but it can make all the difference. And I think today a lot of people are just lacking of these work ethic parts, that you have respect to what you do and your colleagues. But this can really, really take you far, even if you're working for a company, or even if you're an entrepreneur, in every part of your life. And I think this is very, very important, that you've got respect, work ethic, and you keep what you promise. Those three things, and you're gonna go far no matter what you do.
Yeah, I think focusing on the fundamentals and the basics, and just doing them consistently, is kind of what you've been doing in your career, and what you've been showing to work. Viktoria, thank you so much for your time. I don't know if you want to add anything else, or where can people connect with you and find you online? Please let us know.
Sure. So if you type in my name, then it's very easy to find me. But pspangels.com is the website of the consultancy. I have my own personal website as well, which is viktoriasoltesz.com. So there you will find out all the projects that I'm doing, and I'm very active on LinkedIn as well. So that's where I'm usually posting all the content. But I'm having an Instagram account as well, which is Payment Angel, and Facebook as well. So it's very, very easy to find me. And I would like to encourage everyone to please reach out to me, give me new ideas, talk to me about payments and banking, because I love the subject. And the feedback really helps me to fine tune all of those future courses, talk about the things which is really relevant and relates to all those questions of the audience. So please reach out to me, because it's much welcome.
Great. Thank you so much, Viktoria. It's been a pleasure. Thank you everyone for tuning in. The third episode of The Learning Journey with our wonderful guest, Viktoria Soltesz. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.